Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is your host, Brian Carpenter of the Church of the Immortal Self. This is a podcast on Anchor.fm for your enlightenment. I read self help books and talk about current issues to help you become more at peace with oneself, and hopefully one day your higher self can conquer your flesh or your mortal body one day. If you're Christian, you believe that you will be resurrected and you will have a perfect body. That might be your higher self. And so hopefully, and some people, some Christians, depending on what particular flavor of Christianity you believe in or you identify with, you might be able to be resurrected as Jesus comes in the second coming. Anyways, my history is Mormonism, but I was in the Bible Belt of Virginia asking them to pray about a Book of Mormon, and they thought that I was total evil. You can't add to or take away from the Bible. Well, the thing is the Bible was made by the Catholic Church, and actually by Shakespeare mostly. And of course, you can say that there's lots of different translations nowadays, but it all comes from the Nicene Creed, where a bunch of priests voted on what would be in the canon. The good thing I can say about the Bible is that it has standed the test of time. That's what you can good say. But if you read it, well, anyway, I'm not Christian. I go to the Krishna church when I want to go to church and repeat the mantras to get all the negative stuff out of my head and become at peace with the hippies. Today I'm talking about Taylor Swift. I'm going to start talking about celebrities and stuff like that. I didn't know much about her. I thought she was really gorgeous when I first saw her, and I like her music. Sure, I'm not really into pop, but or I guess it's country. I don't know. She's from Tennessee. I didn't know that. But I guess her husband's really lucky. But anyways, she's in the top search results right now on Google Trends, and I thought I'd talk about it. And why is she in the top search results? Well, first of all, let me go back. I'm also going to talk about some positive things from Sadguru. He's a guru in India. He wrote this book called Total Perception. I'll read his quotes out of that self-help book after I talk about karma and how Senator, what's her name? Let me look at it. Let's see here. Hold on. Okay, I just looked it up. It's Senator Marsha Blackburn, Republican, Tennessee. This Fox News article, which is just, I don't know who the hell watches Fox. I don't want to have that bullshit in my house. But because it's never honest. They don't even know what the hell they're saying. They're just trying to bring emotions into you so you can keep on watching their advertisements. Anyways, it says Dallas. Senator Marsha Blackburn, Republican Tennessee, has repeatedly reached out to singer Taylor Swift since 2018 to meet and discuss their differences, but they haven't gotten together. She said Saturday as she followed up on recent remarks that Swift would be one of the first victims of a socialist regime. What? Okay, blah blah. Senator is feeling like she's like, so important that she needs to speak with a freaking celebrity. What is up with these politicians thinking that they're so more important and at the equal level of fan love that of Taylor Swift or freaking Billie Eilish or freaking anybody. People don't like politicians. You can't. I really looked up to Obama, not because of his policies or whatever, but because of what he stood, because of how integrity he had. Anyways, I don't care. The thing is Marsha Blackburn doesn't even know what the hell the difference between the definition of socialist means. She doesn't know what the definition of communist means. She says, "Oh yeah, well, if we were socialist, we'd be communist, or we'd be the Chinese communist. We'd be Chinese if we were socialist." There's a big difference between socialism and communism. Okay, first of all, your communism is run by. We can Google it. Wikipedia, find it on history.com. How are socialism and communism different? Both socialism and communism are essentially economic philosophies advocating public rather than private ownership. Just because you own a machine and you inherited that machine from your dad or your grandpa doesn't mean that you can exploit the people running the machine and pay them minimum wage. Essentially, especially of the means of production, distribution, and exchange of goods, i.e. making money. In a society, both aim to fix the problems they see as created by a free market capitalist system. Yes, there are problems with a free market capitalist system, including having a major 1% rich class and a very poor middle class and a very dirt poor bottom class, including the exploitation of workers and a widening gulf between rich and poor. But while socialism and communism share some basic similarities, there are also important differences between them. Socialism emerged in response to the extreme economic and social changes caused by the Industrial Revolution, and particularly the struggles of workers. Many workers grew increasingly poor even as factory owners and other industrialists accrued massive wealth. In the first half of the 19th century, early socialist thinkers like Henry D. Saint-Simon, Robert Owen, Charles Fourier presented their own models for reorganizing society along the lines of cooperation and community, rather than the competition inherent in capitalism, where the free market controlled the supply and demand of goods. Then came Karl Marx, the German political philosopher and economist who would become one of the most influential socialist thinkers in history. With his collaborator Friedrich Engels, Marx published the Communist Manifesto in 1848, which included a chapter criticizing those earlier socialist models as utterly unrealistic utopian dreams. Marx argued that all history was a history of class struggles, and that the working class or proletariat would invariably triumph over the capital class bourgeois and win control over the means of production, forever easing all classes. Communism, sometimes referred to as revolutionary socialism, also originated as a reaction to the Industrial Revolution and came to be defined by Marxist theories, taken to the extreme end. In fact, Marxists often refer to socialism as the first necessary phase on the way from capitalism to communism. Marx and Engels themselves didn't consistently or clearly differentiate communism from socialism. There is no such thing as a private property. All property is communally owned, and each person receives a portion based on what they need. A strong central government, the state, controls all aspects of economic production and provides citizens with their basic necessities, including food, housing, medical care, and education. By contrast, under socialism, individuals can still own property, but industrial production, or the chief means by generating wealth, is communally owned and managed by democratically elected government. Another key difference in socialism versus communism is the means of achieving them. In communism, a violent revolution in which the workers rise up against the middle and upper classes is seen as an inevitable part of achieving a pure communist state. Socialism is less rigid, more flexible ideology. Its adherent seeks change and reform, but insists on making these changes through democratic processes within the existing social and political structure, not overthrowing that structure. Anyways, it goes on, and it goes on. I haven't even read this. I was just reading it de facto. Listen, Marsha Blackburn, give me a call, and I'll say what I want to you in front of you. Even if you have a policeman there, you're going to use your intimidation and your mahave, your weight, to like all politicians and big old bigwigs do, to be right, because they are right and bigwig and power. Well, you know what? I'm a little small little piece of crap that never recognized your power, because you think that God blesses with gold. I'm telling you, the Mormons out here. And if you're Mormon and you don't believe this, let me know. Email me, brianscottcarpenter@gmail.com. And if you want to give me a call, I'll give you my phone number. And beware, I record all of my phone calls. Now, look, God does not bless with gold. He does not. Whatever religion you believe in, whatever you do, that is a fallacy. You think that because you were righteous or whatever, that you have the domain of what is given to you to be a proper steward of? No, see, Marxism, communism, China is China. Germany is Germany. The United States of America is United States of America. If you wanted to run for office and change the world, or do an act, or sign petitions, or get people to sign petitions, well, you have to have a little bit of news coverage. It's really hard to get your information out there in this information age. But if it was an idea worth knowing, then maybe a celebrity like Taylor Swift would go on the news and say this stuff to them. Now, if you're high on the pulpit, if you're up there on top with the freaking up top looking down on the people, it's easy for the people, the general masses, to say, oh, wow, this guy's got power. I want to be like him. Let's do that. I want to be like Marsha Blackburn. Well, the thing is I got to close this window in Fox. Taylor Swift had a I don't need, other than that, if we're in America and Bernie Sanders got voted to be president, do you think we're going to be fucking the United States of China? No. Fuck no. Bernie Sanders said he was a socialist. Something socialist. And the thing is this. Look, if you think that my grandma thinks that, oh yeah, we just give them food, housing, and shelter, and they'll just do nothing and watch TV all day for the rest of their fucking life. How boring of life is that? First of all, you might have a condition. You might have Down syndrome or something like that, where you can't even go to work. You think you're just going to kick them out? And, oh, just euthanize them, because like the freaking Nazis. Just because circumstances, and you think that you learned everything that you did, you think that your success is your success because you put out all the effort yourself. There was no chance involved. There was no help from other people. That's bullshit. I don't care if you're Elon Musk. I don't care if you're Bill Gates or even freaking Jeff Bezos. All these people yeah, they had a smart idea. And yeah, they were chance born into that brain to be able to have that chance idea. And the timing of their ideas were good for them. The internet was just beginning when Jeff Bezos started his empire. And when he started, Bill Gates was the most richest person on the planet. He's not anymore. Jeff Bezos is. Why? Because he had a great idea. You want to buy something online, you just go to Amazon.com. Why? Because when Amazon.com first started, Google wasn't even around, or they were just barely starting it, learning in MIT. I have a whole thing about Google. And now they weren't in the news until recently. They're getting into the news more recently because of I don't even know what because of stuff. You can Google that whatever, or DuckDuckGo it. If you haven't heard, if you want an alternative to Bing and Google, there's DuckDuckGo. Anyway, Marsha Blackburn, you're an idiot. You're a fucking dweeb. You're an idiot that doesn't know the difference between China and the United States of America. You would rather say, hey, you can't eat because you don't have the ability to, you can't eat. You can't eat because you haven't earned the right to eat. You can't have a shelter because you haven't earned the right to have shelter. You can't have medical care because you haven't earned the right to medical care. Marsha Blackburn is also anti-women, misogynist little whore. And I didn't even know who she was until I looked this up on the Independent or the Fox. I don't even hate. Oh, yuck, Fox. Ugh. Anyway, it's all about controversy to drum up emotions. I really believe that. Looking at in BusinessInsider.com, it says Senator Marsha Blackburn escalates feud with Taylor Swift, says singer would be the first victim of socialism. You need to Google your fucking ass about what socialism is. Ask your freaking senator from Vermont what socialism is, because it's about democratic process. Okay, in today's free market, Sears could have been Amazon.com. They just didn't freaking follow the bandwagon. The CEOs and the people right there were too rich, too in their zone of their self-comfort to get online and sell things online. So Jeff Bezos did it. Nobody else at the time was doing it like Jeff Bezos was doing it. He started out in his garage selling books out of his garage. I bought books in 2000. I signed up for Amazon.com in 2000, been a member since. Anyways, I'm not saying that some people don't like them because of whatever, big bad business. Well, the thing is Sears was their first was a big mail order company, and that's what made them a really huge business. But now they're all freaking extinct. I don't think 1% of them in malls are there anymore. Why? Because they missed the bandwagon. Now, the thing is if we were more socialist, then maybe the United States Post Office. Because right now, Amazon's, they sell things, but honestly, they don't make everything. And you think that, and they allow smaller businesses to allow their products to be sold on Amazon.com, allowing it easy to just go to Amazon.com instead of Google.com and trying to find what you want, or wanting to know, like, I like my Ember coffee. Going to the product name.com, and you can still do that. You see, the government, according now, isn't the only government agency that I know of that is self-sufficient, and I believe this is true. I'd put $1 down and bet it, that the only government agency that is self-sufficient, not using taxpayer dollars, is the United States Postal Service. Now, they could have they didn't have a garage. I mean, they didn't have this and that. And the thing is they're not and the CEO and the presidents and the politicians aren't in the business of making money, doing commerce. That's for the first class to do commerce, for the literate. Anyway, they could have been like, yeah, ship your stuff. No, what Amazon does is they say, look, ship your stuff from wherever it comes from Norway or whatever, to our warehouses, and when people order it, we'll ship it out for you. Or you can list your stuff for a tiny percentage, and when you have an order, we'll let you know, and then you gotta send it out. It's really that simple. It's just that the majority of it's just that sales of physical products and getting it delivered to your door, Amazon has name recognition. You don't have to go to overture.com to learn how to buy something that you want. Now, yes, they have Amazon Basics, which are batteries and thumbtacks and stuff like that, stuff that's just generally ordered. But so does Walmart. And the thing is when I was working for Walmart, yeah, it was a lot less stressful than working for UPS as a Teamster. I was really surprised that Walmart hired me after I'm still a Teamster if I go to work as in a profession that has Teamster union. So if you're just asking about me being pro-union or anti-union, well, most unions, I don't know. The Teamster union really needed it at UPS, because UPS managers were like crap. They were throwing things at me, calling me names, and it was a very us against them situation at UPS. And I'm really appreciative of the Teamster union, because it was a very I would have been like, fuck you at the and I would have gotten talk about unprofessionalism. The managers there didn't care fuck about anybody. And most people don't give a fuck about anybody. You guys listening to me, you probably do. So I'm not talking about you. You're the very rare people. Okay. But, no one got asked to be born. Nobody deserves to be hungry. Nobody deserves to be freezing in the cold, whether you do drugs or not, whether you believe in the Antichrist or you're satanic or what. There is no excuse for as much wealth as there is in the world for people to be starving, to be having people not have a safe place. And the thing is if you decide that, well, you got to be, sober, and you have to be a productive member of society in order to deserve your food. or if we give you your food and shelter and education, you're just not be a productive society after that, which is bull crap. Bull crap. We need to heal, yeah, but why we learned this in COVID recently a little bit. Who are the most important people? People flipping your hamburgers, you freaking Nazi. The people doing your insurance paperwork and the banking and the upper class work. How important is that? How important is that? We have all this stuff. Politicians aren't even freaking important. The thing is we could have had, I guarantee you this right now. If you wanted to live, this is Church's immortal self. We could have technology today that made us immortal. And it's possible that the Bilderberg group or some of the elite groups already have this technology, and I believe in this author that says that in the future we will have technology that will enable the body to stop the aging process, and we would have that technology. The Einsteins if Einstein had to flip hamburgers in order to survive, in order to barely survive, would he have done the theory of relativity? No, because he was fairly he was in a time before 1940 when they just shifted all the wealth up to the top. I'm also saying the Illuminati probably helped Einstein a little bit to get out of, I think it was Poland or something like that. Anyway, this is enough about. I'm going go girl Taylor Swift, you go girl. And if you need somebody to spit in Marsha Blackburn's face with you tell her that she's got to pay me $5, or actually pay maybe more like $5,000 to pay off the prosecutor that's going to prosecute me for doing that. Anyway. Again, thank you very much for listening. If you want to read these notes along with me, you can go to brian.click.click/notes, NOTES. I'll also have a direct link in the product description here. If you think I've said anything that you'd like to comment on, to tell me one way or another how great I am, or you want me to tell you how stupid you are after you tell me something negative, that's fine. You can go to the podcast description, go to immortalself.org, and leave me a minute message. I really would like to play some messages here from people. Starting at the beginning of the book, you cannot perceive intentionally. It is not in your power. You can only stop perceiving. You can shut your eyes and stop seeing. You can shut your ears and stop hearing. You can block your nose and stop smelling. You have the power to stop perceiving, but not to start perceiving. Once you have your eyes, nose, ears, and sense organs unblocked, you can perceive. And then that's on page 4. I just also wanted to say this is legal, common use, as long as it's under 15% of the material presented. If the brain is not capable of understanding the thousands of signals received from the sense organs, there is no real advantage of having advanced senses. Talking about us as a species and different species.
We do not need to continue working on our survival instincts the way we had to exist several centuries back. We have crossed that bridge long ago. Yet, driven by our habitual way of living, this way of thousands of years, we continue to exist in survival mode, grabbing the first available opportunity for pleasure and fearing every little danger as a threat to our survival. Pathetically, survival is the only thought humans have in their minds. That's on page 7. They just perceive enough to survive. Sadguru. Such a mechanical way of living life, we are hardly receptive to any new and fresh sensation. We find refuge in utilizing our stored experiences instead of experiencing a fresh encounter with the universe. The reason is simple. We are not able to let go of our fears and survival instincts. We fear anything new and fresh because new means uncertainty, and security is only in something that is certain, repeatable, and routine. If only we could taste and smell everything in its complete innocence and not be conditioned by our past learning and experience. Page 9, I highlighted that. Page 12. Yet their real worry is not about losing the weight, gaining height, or making more money as much as it is about how fast this can be achieved. I read something long ago. We highly overestimate what we can do in 1 year and highly underestimate what we can do in 10. I'm a believer of Kaizen, making very small progresses, 1% progress here, 1% progress there, until we achieve a massive combined progress, cumulative. While most humanity might be fighting for their basic necessities such as food and shelter, some of the lucky ones are not just satisfied with a nice car to drive. Instead, they would want to see their car speeding past most other vehicles on the road. We will never be free of our worries as long as we look forward to something, especially when we look forward to doing it faster. We have another habit that goes with recognition, the habit of naming. When we recognize something, we recognize a name associated with the pattern. If somehow we fail to remember the name, we are fully convinced that we have not recognized it. We think that we are failing to recognize the thing because we are unable to recall the name associated with it. It is our conditioning that makes us think that a name is needed in our ability to observe. We are so programmed that our act of looking is not simply an act of looking, it is an act of looking at something. The reality is that there are many things that happen during the passage of time from the initial moment to the later times. During this finite period, the observer becomes more mature, more experienced, and gets updated with a huge data of memory from various events that take place. Such as an observer is incapable of separating the initial actor and who had no such experience and maturity from the final observer who is now mature and experienced. In every act, when someone points out a mistake, the observer tries to observe his initial actions from the position of his final level of maturity and tries to justify all his actions and ignore any mistakes. This is talking about how I said earlier about how somebody rich thinks it's all their fault that they're rich. The reality is that there are many things that happen during the passage of time from the initial moment to the later times. It is one of the favorite questions of all interviewers who ask what someone would do differently if one had to relive one's life. Many interviewers also try to evaluate the candidate's state of mind by asking where they might see themselves 5 or 10 years later. The person investigating such scenario forget that when observation or observed change, the observer changes too. In a hypothetical scenario where you could see yourself in the past, you are really not in past, but in a projection of the past and imagining it as a past. At any single moment, we are not simply observing. Instead, we are continually recalling images from our memory, collecting and comparing them with our current observation. We are engaged in time all the times. Observation in time also means boredom. He says, every observable scene or situation becomes known in a very short time. Once something is known, it is not fun to keep observing it anymore. We are always in search of something new because we are bored of everything that is old and already known to us. Yet when we encounter something new, we fail to observe it with a fresh look. Sometimes, due to our habits, we again attempt to compare the observed with the known memory of the past. All we need to do is stop trying to relate our past experiences with the current happenings. A total or complete perception cannot happen in absence of love. We consider something as ours only when we feel that we have full freedom to interact with it or control it. The physical closeness does not make something ours, because if that were the case, we would consider insects, birds, or mice as our close ones because they occupy the same house as we do. But they are not, because we do not have any control on them. They are there because we cannot somehow get rid of them. If something cannot be controlled by us, we do not consider it ours. On a different note, we also feel very close to everything that we like, desire, or admire, even if it is not in our possession or in our proximity. We try to defend and protect every such thing, as we would defend everything that we already possess. We can be found fighting for the politician we like, the celebrity we admire, or the sports team we enjoy watching. Our endless discussions and conflicts with each other, ideologies, has its roots in the same philosophy. My idea is better than your idea. When a group dance is performed on stage, every parent whose child is a part of the group performance is only interested in how his or her child is performing. Me and my precious opinion versus they and their petty opinions. Me and my precious opinions versus they and their petty opinions. Oh, yeah. That's on page 22. Love is nothing but the dropping of I from one's consciousness. But it is quite certain that the same person would have avoided the same ugly-looking or sour fruits when available in the market. Earlier, he was talking about how someone was growing food. He spends a lot of time in his garden growing fruit, but the food wasn't that good, he thought. But the grower thought it was just the best food in the world. Yet the successful individuals sincerely believe that it was their habit of reading books or their hard work or their discipline about something that made them rich. People tend to display an illusionary superiority in the sense that they overestimate their own qualities and abilities in relation to the same qualities and abilities in others. And my last little quote here is, it is always easy to shift blame to others and when it seems logical. Then there's no better way to get a quick relief. He's talking about how this is the most common defense seen and used by everybody. Even in a primary class, when a kid is asked why he did not complete his homework, his favorite response is that others also didn't do it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed today. Please go to immortalself.org. Donate $1 so I can do blessings of showers here. Shower the homeless so you don't get COVID. Or buy a hectare, basically an acre of land in Africa so they can grow their own food and be self-sufficient. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Blessed be and namaste.